Good evening, everyone. Thank you for choosing to be with us on this Thursday evening. We will give 30 more seconds. I'm waiting for Sister Rona to come. Good evening once again. Very warm welcome to all of you who are joining us on Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube. We really appreciate you being with us every Thursday. I felt like this Thursday just came too soon, but thank God it's Thursday. Before we dive into today's topic, once again, just the reminders, announcements that all these talks are available on our YouTube channel. Manhattan Meditation Center does have a YouTube channel. You can subscribe to it so you get recordings and the notification of other programs which we offer. The recordings of these talks are available also on Facebook. Besides these Thursday lectures, Manhattan Center offers live meditation, real-time meditation twice a day, Power Boost in the afternoon at 12 p.m. and Good Night Meditation at 8 p.m., except I think on Sundays, which is 7:30 if I'm not wrong. But the information is there on our website. We do offer retreats and workshops, and we alternate them. We finished retreat just this month on 26th, and we will be offering a retreat again sometime soon in November. So if you're interested in revising it, and joining again, or encouraging your friends and family to take the course, please keep an eye on the website. We do email the information to everyone who is in our emailing list. In October, we are offering a workshop. The title is Science of Happiness, and it is offered on October 23rd. The timings are in the morning from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. So if you're interested, please do register. Registrations are open and information is available on our website. So that's all as far as announcements are concerned. You do have control of your mic. We request you to keep it muted while the lecture is going on. Sister Rona will open the floor for question and answers. That'll be an invitation to open your mic and share your thoughts and or ask your questions. We encourage you to keep your videos on if it is possible. It just makes the environment a little bit more interactive. So today's topic, the secret, how to change others. I think the topic itself is so enticing. Nothing else needs to be said about it. We all are very eager to hear that, because very often we just hear that you can't change anyone, right? But if there is a secret, hidden secret, which can make it possible, don't we all want to know it? I do. So I'm going to invite Sister Rona, and so we can hear the secret. Let the secret be out today. Very warm welcome, Sister Rona.
Hello, everyone. So you all want to know how to change others? Everyone?
All of us. You see the number? We have 44, eager to hear.
Everyone want to know how to change other people. Maybe the secret to change others is to change yourself.
Uh-oh.
Oh, spoiler. No, there is a bit more to it than just that, but we will explore that in today's session. But first, maybe we can start with a minute of reflection and some silence. Thank you. We will discuss a few insights and few methods maybe that you can apply in your attempt to change others. And then later on we will come to the secret. Is that okay? To keep you all, concentrated and alert and attentive. Everybody wants to change at least one other person. Or we wish they would change. Or we wish they would be different. So just to kind of set the tone for it. In our lives, when we deal with our lives, when we deal with other people, when we interact with others, one of the things that happens is both sides, we get into a kind of limited perspective and a limited view of ourselves and of others and of that interaction and of how that interaction should be. And once we get into that more limited view, we as if spoil it for ourselves and for the other. And just to give an example of an elephant, now if you if you just see the part of an elephant, say you only see the trunk, then you can't appreciate the creature, the animal as a whole. You do not even really know the animal properly. You just catch hold of the trunk, is it called?
Yeah, it is called trunk.
You just catch hold of the trunk and you think this is the elephant. But the elephant has also big flapping ears. He has these huge feet, which are very strong and solid. There is also, of course, the tail, which is usually very thin and hairy. So the whole of the elephant is very different than just the trunk. And just give a second, there's some disturbance here. Yes, so the whole of the elephant is very different than when you just look at the trunk. And in the way we approach others, in our interactions with others, in our connection with others, we many times do that. We just catch hold of the trunk and we don't pay attention to the bigger picture. We don't pay attention to whatever else is there. And then we miss the beauty, or maybe not beauty, but other factors and other angles to that person and other angles to the interaction that we have with them. And so one of the things that they tend to happen is that when we meet someone, we see their nice things. We see the things that we like about them. And when we decide to build a relationship, initially we see the nice things and we focus on the nice things, we focus on the things that please us. But after a while, we begin to see that there is a bit more than just that, that what I initially saw. And if there is something negative, there is a tendency within us to catch hold of that unpleasant or negative part and just repeat that over and over and over and over in our own mind. Whilst there is much more to that person, and what you initially saw in that person is still there, but your attention is not there anymore. Your attention is now on that thing on which you may be disappointed about the person, or that you did not want or did not expect or do not desire. But that was always there. Your attention was not there. And now your attention is shifting away from that, that nice or that maybe that pleasant thing into that unpleasant thing. And all your, what is it, your tunnel vision just focuses on that one thing. And that repeats in our mind over and over and over and over again in such a way that we even begin to expect them to be like that and behave like that all the time. And maybe by doing that, we are actually reinforcing that within them. We are reinforcing that because you are expecting it, you are condemning it also, and you are seeing that with that vision of this person is like this. So it is as if almost you're pulling that in them to the surface. And there may be many, many other aspects to them, but because of your conditioned attitude and your conditioned mindset towards them, they are as if pulled in that behavior pattern, pulled in that way of interacting with you. So this deeper what method would be, broaden your vision. When you look at someone, don't think about that one thing that bothers you. Aim to see the broader person who has we all are multifaceted faceted personalities, and there are so many aspects to it. But we generally in interactions, and definitely in close interactions, and definitely in intimate interactions, we tend to kind of fall into certain basic patterns. And that doesn't allow, I don't allow myself to be out of the box, you could say, not just think out of the box, but to be out of that box that I had put myself in connection with that person. And I don't allow the other easily also to move out of that box. To give a simple example, my mother, growing up, I always looked at her as my mother, who keeps the household together, who makes sure that everything runs and cleans and there is food, and I can go and cry in her lap if I want to, and if I need to, and she will always be there caring for the family. That was my vision and my perspective of her, always growing up. And one day I found out she has talent to paint. And she has longing also to paint. And I was like, is this another person? I can't, I don't know this person. because my vision for her was always mom and household and wife and that context, but that she has a completely different personality, a part of her personality in there. And other people can paint, but my mother, what is and then she starts developing it, and you see a whole different part of the personality comes out. But my we looking at her never put her, even through our thoughts and through our vibrations, allowed her to be different, and it was always there. And this is just a simple example, but a method for us to deal with others is to see the bigger picture and think of this elephant. Don't just catch hold of the trunk. There is a whole big creature behind that trunk, and you're depriving yourself and you're diminishing the value of the elephant by not seeing the big picture. And that picture, a big picture, we need to consciously train ourselves to do that. Because at this moment in time, the way society is, the way we are growing up, and the way our educational system is, we don't have relationship skills. We don't have interaction skills. We are not consciously trained to, or not trained, we are not encouraged, we are not taught to see a bigger picture. Definitely not in relationships. Another simple, simple method of having others be different is the way we behave towards them. Now, if notice within myself, no, for example, there are children. Some children are so sweet. Some children are so cute and so loving, and they want to give you everything. They tell you everything, whatever they get a cookie, they want to give you. They get a candy, they want to give you. They get pizza, they want to give you half. And they are sweet and cute. And when they are around you, it brings something else out of you. You also want to be loving to them. You also want to be sweet to them. You also want to be cute with them. You also want to play with them. That innocent nature kind of inspires that love and that wanting to protect and wanting to give in you, because they are sweet, they are lovely, and they are lovable, and they are cute. Whilst other children are, some children are a bit, they want to break everything. they scream all the time. They are spoiled. You still behave nicely with them because you kind of feel you have to, but it is not coming from your heart. And if you can avoid them, you will. This doesn't only happen with children. This also happens with adults. So, and this also happens with other people towards you. If you are lovable, if you are wise and loving, if you are modest and humble, if you are encouraging and bubbly and enthusiastic, that also brings out the better part in others. If we can provide an environment that is a vibrational environment, that is of warmth, that is of love, that is of feeling safe and feeling belonging, others melt also. Also, child psychology, for example, when parenting, what do we do for children to bring out the best in children? We need to provide an environment where they feel loved, where they feel cared for, where they feel protected, where they feel safe, and where they feel valued, and where they feel they are wonderful, they are beautiful, that they are intelligent. That type of environment brings out the best in a child, but not only for a child. It brings out the best for everyone. So you get the trend how to change others. One time we were in a prison, and in that prison we were asked, or the Brahma Kumaris was going to that prison. This is in Europe. This is not here in America. The Brahma Kumaris was asked to give positive thinking lessons to the inmates, to the personnel also, but to the inmates also. And some of us would go regularly. And actually, this was not in Holland. I know we in Europe also we do this service, but this particular incident that I'm going to quote was in South America. And so one time we went to give the course, but to the how do you call that, the worst criminals, those who
hardcore criminals.
Hardcore criminals who were murderers and rapists, multiple, and they are in a special part of the prison with special guard. And so, and we had special guards also when we were going to teach them, and about 8 of them, because they had to register that they wanted to be part of this course. And it was a course of 5 sessions of an hour. And so we, two young girls in our 20s, we went. And these big men, with their faces, don't look very, very friendly and very pleasant. And some, they're also a bit scary looking, for me at least at that age. But they were sitting there, 8, and our guards were with us. And of course, the first lesson is a bit tense, but you kind of melt the ice. The second lesson is better, and the third lesson, around the third lesson, we give the introduction of that there is innate beauty in everyone, that there is innate goodness in everyone. And of course, we were kind of curious to see how they would react, but they all agreed. Even to the surprise of our guards, there is innate goodness in everyone. And we kind of, the ice melted, and there was discussion. They were also sharing a bit more of themselves and letting their guards down. And so one was asking this question: really, there is goodness in everyone? Look at what you all did. And we did not say, but one amongst themselves was saying, look at what we all did. How can we say there is goodness within us? And one of them said, it is really true. All I truly want is to be loved. All I truly want is to find some peace, but I somehow never was able to communicate that or do that or find that. And the only way that I can kind of demand it is being violent. But deeper inside, I just want to be loved. And this is like a big man, head shaved, looking like he about to break the table. but he is talking like a little boy, and I was kind of amazed by what was happening. The group was small; there were just 8 of them and us, but it taught me a deep lesson that there is innate beauty and innate goodness and innate love in everyone. But also the lesson that it taught me is because the environment that was created, uh, uh, lessons in positive thinking, was 2 young girls. We were not a threat to them at all in any way. It was for free. Nobody was asking anything, demanding anything from them, expecting anything from them. They were completely relaxed and they felt to some extent safe and secure. And they allowed themselves to bring down the barriers. And once 1 or 2 did it, everyone else also start to do it. And then you see a different face in them. You see a different qualities come out, different way of interaction. And you can't hardly believe that those were hands that used weapons to kill. And this actually, I feel, is the real secret of changing others. If we can create an environment in which they can let down their ego, in which they can let down their whatever patterns of behavior that bothers you, if we can create an environment in which those patterns are not necessary for them to use, then you will see something else. But that requires that we also need to do some work on our side. Because for someone else to let down their ego, it means I have to drop my ego also. I have to get my expectations out of the way, my desires out of the way, my demands out of the way. And this is something that is damaging relationships. My expectations and my desires and my demands, it puts someone as if in a corner. And if they don't behave like that, then I am disappointed. And then I am, annoyed or irritated. But it was not necessarily them. They are who they are, and they are who they are always. But because I am having certain expectations, you don't give them much space to be who they are. They have to be who you want them to be. And only then can you approve of it. And so many relationships start kind of with a clean shade. We start off with a clean shade. A clean sheet. Huh? What did you say?
Clean slate.
Clean slate, sorry. Excuse me, English is not my first language. We start with a clean slate. And then if it is loving relationship, we kind of begin to love people. But with that love, we mix in attachments, and we mix in attachment means dependency. We mix that pure love is there, but then we mix in dependency, and we, based upon that love and based upon those dependencies, we start creating expectations. And those are the things that damage the interaction. So if we can drop expectations, or at least diminish expectations, then you don't push them in a corner. And if instead of expectations, you give love, you are loving, you are encouraging, you are appreciative, you are respectful, you are being modest, you give them the opportunity to be the best they can be in that situation. Get an idea? Now, there is a deeper secret. Still, a deeper secret. And for that, I would like to use the whiteboard to give a bit of insight in some deeper dynamics that exist in this life, a deeper phenomenon that exists. And bear with me, I'll have to introduce it a little bit for you to be able to grasp what I mean. Now, in this life, in this physical universe, there are balancing factors at work all the time. We might not be aware of them most of the time, but they are at work all the time. Now, for example, if I throw a ball in the air, I'm taking that ball out of its resting position. Resting position, balanced position is when the ball is on the floor peacefully. But I'm picking it up and I'm throwing it up in the air. I'm taking it out of its balanced rest state. And at that moment, there is a force created that wants to pull that ball back in its resting stage. That is an example of how these balancing forces work. They want to create and protect and restore a certain resting stage, a certain harmonious stage. Now, if there is a knife and by accident touching the knife with the finger and there is a cut. Now, when it is closed, it is like the resting state of the skin, the harmonious state of the finger, the skin, and the tissues. I cut it, and there is a wound, and immediately forces in the tissue and the skin start working to produce cells to grow so that the wound closes again. And it comes back to a harmonious state of the finger. Many things in nature function like that. If they are taken out of balance, there is a balancing force that pushes it back into its normal resting stage. But that balancing force does not necessarily have to work immediately. It can work over time. It can take time. So, for example, we take dust and water and make cement and concrete and we create whole big buildings. Now, that material is taken out of its original, natural, resting, harmonious state, creating a building, but sooner or later, all the matter of that building will disintegrate again. And it will become again what it was before, raw matter and elements. So these forces are there. And for everything, there is a kind of an harmonious state. And so relationships in general, there is a format, you could say, a harmonious state of relationships in general. And when we move out of that format, if we start to behave differently, we create expectations, for example, then there will be a force generated that wants to push you back. This is not the natural way to relate or to interact. Like I said, I can give many examples. We give, say, for example, a car. A car has its manual. And if you use the car the way it's supposed to be used, then that car serves you well and long time. But if you, instead of gasoline, you put ketchup inside, that is not according to the manual. So the whole car will get damaged because you're not acting according to the natural way the car's supposed to act. You're supposed to take care of the car. Your behavior towards the car and with the car is not what the manual requires. And so the car will not work for you because you have not obeyed the principles of how a car should work. And the message that nature tells you gives you change, or the universe, or what is it, the drama of life then tells you, car breaks down, car doesn't work. What is the message? You did not treat the car right. You could say no. So then the car will not function for you. You should not have put, ketchup inside. This body, your relationship with this body is another example. If you take your foot, you grab your foot and you put it in your neck, what will happen? Maybe Mita can reach. But for the most of us, we will not be able to do that. And there will be pain in the back and the hamstrings, even halfway already. Because that is not the way that the body, that is not the natural, harmonious position of the body. And you're taking it out of the harmonious rest position of the body, so there will be pain generated. And though that pain tells you, put it back. This is not the way to treat the body. This is not the natural position of the body. This is not the resting position of the body. So that pain is a message. That pain is a signal for you to restore things. So here is the so there is what? There is a body. And there is a manual for the body. And we may not know the manual, but it is our duty to find out how to treat the body right. And if we break that manual, then the body will stop cooperating with us in a way that it should. It gives us pain, it gives us discomfort or whatever. But that pain is a messenger. It is a signal. It tells you something you're doing is not right, or maybe many things you're doing are not right. The same with relationships. Say there are relationships. This is father and son, and there is a manual for relationships. That manual may never been taught to you, but it is there. There is innate within the drama of human life, there is a script for how harmonious relationships should be. Now, if that manual is not followed, at some stage, there will be some friction there. So it is for each one of us to find out what is the manual. In every type of interaction, what is the manual? What are the principles? And there are some basic principles that apply for every interaction. But there are some forms of interactions that have like special requirements. More intimate we are with someone, more friendly we are, more close related or close proximity working together. There are, what is it? Is the extended manual. And we have to find out. And we have to position ourselves, and maybe we have to discuss with each other certain things also. And but if that manual is not followed, there is bound to be problems sooner or later. Now, in this same line of balancing forces and manual, there is the whole area of my vision and attitude. How is the vision towards others? How is the attitude towards others? And from the spiritual perspective, the understanding is normally we look at ourselves and we say, this is me. I am male or I am female. I am belonging to this social stratus, cultural background, ethnical background. This is me. This is my job. These are the people around me. This is me. And we look at others in the same way, based upon their gender, based upon their ethnical and social background and cultural background and their job and their education and who the parents and people around them are. And we behave towards them. Our vision and our attitude is based on this very physical vision and perspective on them. Spirituality says that is very limited. That is, you're just catching hold of the trunk. Actually, they are all spiritual beings. Beings of consciousness, invisible experiencers, invisible players, souls who are using the body temporarily as a vehicle. And the physical personality is just a manifestation through the body of the part that is being played. But the being is a divine being. And the real relationships are spiritual relationships. All of us are divine beings, and our relationship is of brotherhood, spiritual brothers. Now, once we start interacting in that way, feelings may change completely. But even so this whole spiritual perspective is to just not pin someone down on what you can see, what you can touch and hear, but acknowledge and recognize the invisible, immortal, eternal, living light that they are. And when we we operate from that highest, that spiritual state of consciousness, then we are also emerging, we are as if inviting in them to wake up spiritually. We're inviting in them, even without necessarily talking, through our attitude, through our vision, through our vibrations, we are inviting within them also to emerge their spiritual vision, their spiritual attitude. And that will shift dynamics in relationships. But again, it comes back to what do I practice inside? What is my vision? What is my attitude? Do I allow the self to truly experience the self as this spiritual, invisible, living light, divine in nature, one who is a guest in this body, a guest in this world? Everyone else is also that, if I experience myself to be like that. And then I withdraw from all those limiting demands and expectations and neediness and begging and that victim attitude and victim mentality in our interactions with others. And we become appreciative. That feeling of brotherly love comes there. A feeling of belonging comes there. But deeper inside, our mind becomes clean when we practice what is called soul consciousness. And many of you must have heard this, if not all of you. Soul consciousness. The awareness of ourselves as invisible, timeless, spiritual beings who are innately benevolent, innately peaceful, innately loving, innately God-like. And our mind becomes clean when we start to practice that for ourselves. And also our karma and our karmic accounts change when we practice this consciousness. Now, whatever we do, there is an account that we build up. So if we have had, it is not just action in the sense of I give you something good, so you have to give me something back. But how have I behaved? What has been my attitude? What has been my intentions? What have been my thoughts? What has been my state of awareness? My accounts are at all those levels. Now, more I become soul conscious, those accounts become clean. Negative accounts are shifted into positive accounts. And once I have good karmic accounts, then whatever comes to us is good also. No, one of the teachers in the Brahma Kumaris, the older yogis, he used to say in classes and used to share with us, humanity has created the habit of desiring and demanding and expecting and wanting. But we should not desire, but we have to make ourselves deserving. So instead of desiring something, let me make myself worthy of receiving it. So instead of desiring and demanding and expecting someone to be loving, let me be lovable. Let me be worthy of receiving love. And this comes back to our inner world. Are we making ourselves beautiful and wonderful internally, virtuous, humble, uh, uh, respecting, appreciative, enthusiastic, then we are as if worthy to receive that back. One time we were in some fair, and we had a stand in that fair, and it was a, what is it, health and beauty fair, and the organizers of that fair wanted the Brahma Kumaris there with a meditation stand. Health and beauty fair. So there was one lady. Let me take off this thing. There was one lady who went around all the stands, and then she sees meditation, and she's a bit puzzled, and she comes to us and she says, what is this meditation all about, and what is this, what is it doing in this beauty and health thing? So there is a nice interaction and a nice dynamic, and a little bit talk about meditation and what is the a virtuous personality. And she says to me, kind of jokingly but also serious, she says, oh, so I can find a husband here. I can find a good husband here. And before she says, before we can answer, two of us, she says, and he should be like this, and he should have this, and he should have this, and he should be like this, and like a whole list she gave. So I start smiling and laughing when she's describing how her husband should, her future husband should be. So when she finished, we asked her, do you have all of that? She said, no, of course not. That is why I want him. And I said, but don't you think he will also want that? At least, the very least, he will want something like that from you also. And she kind of puzzled and thinking. She was a bit. She said, so we invited her. She said, okay, so I can learn all that here. She said, we said, yeah, this is part of it. There is much wider things here, but she did not come to the meditation course that I know. But this is our generally our positioning in this world and in this life and in interaction with others. We position ourselves with a whole list of expectations, consciously or subconsciously. We interact and we position ourselves just catching hold of the trunk of the elephant, not seeing the whole elephant. Whilst if we would position ourselves to be deserving, then our attention would be on self. Our focus would be on self. What is the quality of my inner world? What is the quality of my intentions? What is the quality of my consciousness? What is the quality of vision and attitude and actions? And that will inspire the best in others to come out. It might not work 100% of the time, but our lives would change dramatically if we 100% start practicing this for ourselves. Many things and interactions will shift once you shift inside. If we, and I've seen in work, there is what one time there was a patient in the ward and nobody wanted to deal with that patient. She was demanding, mischievous, unpleasant, and even angry often. Nobody wanted to deal with her. And one person approached her and deal with her, expecting her to be nasty. So preparing herself internally, this is going to be a very, very nasty situation. So let me build up inside of me so much love and so much care and so much patience. And the lady was such a, what is it? Became with that person, the lady became, what is it? Very, very manageable. And even after time, nice.
You don't have to feel good. It's always been like this, right? What happened? Walking this evening? Can we go walking?
I think it needs to be muted, Anita.
I'm trying to find Sister Rona.
It is. So the secret of changing others is make the self worthy for the highest quality of response from others. if my karmic account is of that highest quality, then others, they might even be unpleasant generally, but with you, they will behave differently. And we would like to challenge you to experiment with this. Make yourself so good and so beautiful and so virtuous and so free from expectations and so loving inside. And then see how the people who normally interact with you, if they change. They might be so surprised. They might be so surprised that they think, oh. She's always so content. Before she was always nagging and sour face. Maybe I'm giving just one example. I know there are severe situations of violence and all of that, and that is even a further category. But even in those categories, one friend of mine, a long-time meditator, one time was attacked by two young boys who wanted to rob her purse. And they put a gun to her head. She was coming out of work. She was entering she was opening the car and they put a gun to her head. And she was practicing meditation for a long time and she had been experimenting with this idea of brotherhood. So he put a gun to her head and asked her bag and her jewelry. And what she does is she turns her face to him like this. And she sees the young boy and she sees his eyes and she tells him, you don't really want to do this. But she's not like thinking what to do, it automatically happens. And she looks him straight into the eyes and he becomes nervous. And he says, lady, don't do funny things. She says to him, you don't really want to do this. And she kind of invokes this meditative state. And she says, not through her eyes, she feels a feeling of love for him. It's a young boy, her brother, she says. And he grabs her bag and he runs away because the other who's waiting for him on a motorcycle, on a motorbike, gets also nervous. He says, let's get out of here. This lady's crazy. Let's get out of here. So he grabs her bag and he runs away. And she's still standing there and he stops. He looks in the bag and he throws the bag on the ground and he jumps on the cycle and they run out. So they did not steal anything from her. But he could have, because there was a purse in the bag, there was money in the bag, and there were some other things that her cell phone and everything. He throws the bag down. And then when they gone, she starts shaking. she can't believe what happened. And then she came to the center immediately. She called me and says, "Can I stop by?" This was in the Caribbean. I feel her stage and her karmic account was such that he could not do what he had intended to do. Because of her unexpected reaction, that is one thing. But because of her stage and her clean karma. Now, these are individual experiments, and this is all we can do. Start experimenting with this, and just with the people around you. Be different than you normally are with them. Do something extra. I remember the first time my mother, I would come home as a student and always go on the couch like this, lazy, doing nothing. So when I started meditation, my meditation teacher said, when you go home to your parents, wash the dishes and clean the dishes and put them back. Don't go home and be like a king as if your parents have to treat you like everything. So I said, oh, this lady is giving me good advice. So first time I went home after that, that is exactly what I did. I cleaned up the kitchen. And my mother was like, what happened to you? And she was so happy. Such a simple thing that we can do to shift things around. But it starts with me. So what is it? The secret to change others is? What is the deep secret to change others?
Change yourself in heaven.
And change your karma. If your karma change, then what comes to you, the balancing forces, what comes to you will be different.
So there are a lot of feedback, Sister Rona.
This may not be what you would want to hear. Maybe you want some magical pill that you give to someone and they are different. But this is the real secret. Okay, I know the time has already passed, but I still want those who want to give some opportunity for response, or maybe in the chat there are people written.
Most of the comments are the perspective is well received. People are sharing that yes, it is true. They have experienced when they change and lower their expectations, things change. But there are a couple of, and everyone is almost appreciating the talk so much. A couple of questions. One is actually already answered, but I'll still read it.
Someone also raised their hand, no? Sarah Chan.
Okay, I actually don't see it.
No, she lowered it again. But Sarah Chan, if you want to, you can open the mic and.
Oh, hi. That was just a hand clapping icon.
Oh, clap. Okay. Okay. Lisa Tuck is raising hand.
Yes. Are you talking about deprogramming who we are and creating a new way of thinking?
Yes. Yes. Of course, there's a whole world of spiritual knowledge behind this topic. But yes, in essence, what we're saying is we have a certain idea of ourselves that might be, at the very least, limited. And we need to broaden our perspective on self and on others, but maybe also our sense of identity is limited or even wrong. Not just a limited human identity, but going to a spiritual identity. But for that to explore, it is a bit beyond a 1 hour talk. If there is interest in that, I would invite you to explore our courses.
Thank you.
Okay,
I have a question.
go ahead.
What about lower quality interactions? What to think of those? I know you spoke extensively about higher quality interactions, but how do you put lower quality interactions into perspective?
It is the same. If there is a lower quality interaction, I can choose to bring it to a different level, for myself at least. And because I am different, others may be different. I give that example, which was not a high quality interaction, the gun to the head of that friend of mine. But because the way she responded, the way she interacted with that person, his intention changed. And these are little, this is magic. No? This is spiritual magic. And try to change your input towards others. They say, no, when you meet a tiger, if you run away, he will surely run after you and bite you. But if you do the unexpected, tiger might run away. We have to behave differently and come out of this box thinking and box behavior. Okay, Anita, we are already 7 minutes per time.
I think, Sister Rona, in your talk, actually, you covered one of the question she already asked Madhura. The other one is how to change your karma. So, which is the whole, but you addressed it.
That's another training.
Yeah.
Okay, then let's close with some moments of silence. Normally we close with meditation, but there's not the time for this now. So very appreciative of your attention and your participation. Very nice. And hope to see you again sometime. Let's close with a moment of silence. Good night.
Thank you, Sister Rona. Om Shanti.
Very nice seeing you.
Thank you, Sister.